Nobody ever pulls you aside and teaches you this. Not your father, not school, not even the world that expects you to just know. But one day, after the heartbreak, the silence, or the cold goodbye, you sit alone and ask yourself, how did I not see this coming? Here's the raw truth. Most men don't learn until it's already over. Not because women are confusing, but because no one ever handed you the rule book they live by. You believed effort was enough, that being kind, being loyal, being emotionally open would keep her close. But it didn't, because you missed the hidden tests, the unspoken shifts, the rules you didn't even know you were breaking. This video isn't about blame, it's about clarity. We're going to uncover what no one told you, what silently determines whether she stays or walks away. From subconscious tests to emotional triggers, from why being the nice guy doesn't work, to how she decides who you are in seconds, we're breaking it down through the lens of Stoic strength and psychological truth. If you're done being confused, tired of chasing, and ready to reclaim your power, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit and drop a comment below. I see the truth now. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. Number 1, she already put you in a box. She judged you long before you even spoke. The moment you walked in, her instincts had already filed you into a category. Not after conversation, not after connection, instantly. That's the part nobody warns you about. She doesn't need time to decide. She's wired to sort men quickly for protection, for attraction, for emotional safety. And, in her mind, you're already in a box. The provider, the soft emotional helper, the funny guy, or the one she can't quite figure out, the one who stirs something she can't control. And here's the harsh truth. Once she puts you in a box, she rarely reconsiders. That's what most men never see. They keep showing up, keep being nice, keep texting, explaining, proving, hoping she'll change her mind. But she won't, because this isn't logic, it's instinct. And instinct doesn't need proof, it only reacts to feeling. You can be the most generous, available, emotionally supportive man she's ever met. But if you got labeled just a friend, that's where you'll stay. Women don't upgrade boxes. They exit them and enter new ones with new men who already feel like the right fit. So here's the real question. What decides which box she puts you in? It's not your car, not your words, not your resume. It's your energy. How centered you are, how little you seek her approval, how grounded your presence feels, how unpredictable you are in just the right way. See, the men she places in the safe but forgettable box, they give too much, too fast. They overtalk. They smile constantly. They try too hard to please. They surrender power in the first 5 minutes. And women feel that it's not about being cold, it's about being composed. Stoicism teaches this. Your worth isn't something you convince her of. It's something you radiate. You don't win her interest by pushing harder. You inspire it by standing still. Because when she meets a man who isn't chasing, who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't overexpose himself emotionally, she doesn't categorize him, she questions him. And that moment of uncertainty, that curiosity, it's the start of desire. So stop trying to escape the box. Start showing up as the man who defines it. Hold back. Let her earn what's under the surface. Don't overshare, overgive, or overprove. Let your presence speak louder than your performance. And when she pauses, when she can't figure you out, That's when she'll start thinking about you. Comment below. I define myself. Number 2, no authority. Let's get this clear from the start. If she doesn't feel your authority, she won't feel attraction. And no, that doesn't mean being loud, dominant, or controlling. That's not real authority. That's insecurity in disguise. True authority is quiet. It's calm. It's the ability to lead without shouting, to decide without asking for permission, to hold steady when the pressure rises, especially when she pushes your buttons, because she will test you, not to hurt you, but to see if she can trust you. See, when a woman feels like she's the one making every decision, planning every interaction, adjusting to your mood swings, she doesn't feel empowered. She feels exhausted. And when she feels unprotected, she shuts off emotionally. Désir fade. Not because you're unattractive, but because she doesn't feel safe enough to relax. Attraction for women isn't just about looks. It's about energy. She wants to feel your certainty. She wants to rest in your steadiness. And that only happens when you stop hesitating. Most guys make this mistake. They try to read her constantly. They defer to her in every decision. They tiptoe around discomfort. They're always adjusting themselves, and in the process, they lose her respect. What she actually wants is a man with a clear direction. Someone who knows who he is, who says, "This is who I am. This is where I'm headed. You're welcome to join me," not with arrogance, but with grounded, inner leadership. Stoicism teaches us that mastery starts with the self. As Epicurus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you stop chasing approval and start leading your own life, you naturally create structure. You stop asking, "What does she want from me?" and start asking, "What kind of man do I choose to be?" And that shift, that energy of clarity and focus, that's what turns her on. You don't win her over by tiptoeing. You draw her in by standing firm. Because women are drawn to men who don't fold under pressure. They're magnetized by men who make decisions, who don't flinch. So next time you feel unsure, don't ask, "How do I keep her happy?" Ask instead, "What choice aligns with who I'm becoming?" and follow through. If that landed, drop a comment below. I lead myself. Number 3, nice guys don't get the girl. Let's say it plainly. Being the nice guy doesn't make her want you. I know that's what you were taught. Be polite. Be attentive. Be agreeable. Text back fast. Compliment often. Always avoid conflict. But here's what actually happens. You do all that, and she loses interest. She'll say you're wonderful. She'll say you're sweet. But then she vanishes. Or worse, she keeps texting the guy who barely notices her. It feels unfair. Right, but this isn't about fairness. It's about biology. Nice often isn't noble. It's fear in disguise. Fear of upsetting her. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being left. And she feels that fear deep in her gut. It doesn't feel strong. It doesn't feel masculine. It feels like pressure. Because women don't want a man afraid to stand his ground. They want a man who can hold tension without crumbling. Someone rooted. Someone real. Don't get confused. There's a difference between being kind and being nice. Kindness is strength. It's honest, direct, and calm. Nice, on the other hand, is strategic. It's saying yes when you mean no. It's folding just to keep her around. And that's not leadership. That's self-abandonment. Now, let me show you how this plays out. There's a guy named Ethan. Caring, smart, always available. He'd skip his plans just to support her. Listened for hours. Did everything right. Or so he thought. She told him, "You're such a good guy. I hope we stay friends." It stung. Meanwhile, she kept chasing someone who didn't chase her. Why? Because women don't respond to kindness alone. They respond to conviction. The man who respects his time, the one who won't tolerate disrespect, the one who can walk away, that's the one who stirs something in her. Here's the truth: if you have to give up your standards to win her attention, you never had her attraction in the first place. You weren't being nice. You were being afraid. And she knew it. So what now? You stop chasing approval. You start living by principle. You speak your truth. You stand your ground. You walk when respect isn't mutual. That's Stoicism in action. You don't react to her moods. You live in alignment with who you are. And that kind of man, he doesn't beg to be chosen. He chooses. If this spoke to something real in you, drop a comment below. I respect myself, because that's where desire begins. Not with being liked, but with being respected. Number 4. Vulnerability isn't what you think. Here's something no one teaches. Men, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's not a teary confession, a midnight text, or dumping emotional wounds in hopes she'll hold you closer. That's not connection. That's pressure. See, you've been told to open up, be vulnerable, let her in. But they forgot the most important part. Vulnerability is only attractive when it feels like strength. Too many men think that sharing pain equals building trust, so they overshare. They tell her everything: childhood wounds, anxiety, spirals, daily fears, hoping it earns closeness. But to her, it feels like a burden, not intimacy. Not because she's heartless, but because she's wired to seek masculine calm, not chaos. Women don't run from emotions. They run from the feeling that you need them to fix you. Now let's be clear, this isn't about hiding your feelings. Stoicism isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional ownership. Real vulnerability is when a man can say, yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I carry scars, but I'm not asking you to heal me. I've done the work. I'm still standing. That's not weakness. That's quiet power. There was a man, Henry. A woman asked why he never spoke about his past. He smiled and said, "I've had pain, but I'm not here to bleed on someone else's floor. I've made peace with it." She didn't pull away. She leaned in, not because he gave her the full story, but because his energy said, "I faced the fire, and I didn't fall apart." That's the kind of man a woman trusts. That's the kind of story that lingers in her mind. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." Women feel safest with a man who feels deeply but doesn't collapse under what he feels. You can cry, but don't beg. You can open up, but don't pour everything out expecting to be saved. That's not strength. That's emotional debt, a weight she didn't ask to carry. Here's your challenge. Next time you feel pain, sit with it. Breathe through it. Own it. Then speak from it. Not to seek comfort, but to share truth. With calm presence and steady hands. That's real vulnerability. And she'll feel it. If this part hit something in you, drop a comment below. I own my truth, not for approval, but because you no longer need to hide. Number 5. Cold men create heat. Here's a truth most men never hear. The colder you are emotionally, the more heat she feels toward you. Sounds manipulative. Right, it's not. It's human psychology. When a man is slightly emotionally distant, not cold-hearted, not numb but just detached enough, it triggers something primal in her: curiosity, uncertainty, desire. Nice guys try too hard. They show every emotion, fill every silence, and text too soon. But the man who holds back, who stays calm, doesn't over-explain, doesn't beg for attention. He creates tension. And tension is the seed of attraction. Here's the paradox no one teaches you. If she always knows where she stands with you, she stops thinking about you. But if you're unreadable, if your energy stays centered, you live in her mind. That's where desire begins, not through effort, but through space. A Stoic man doesn't chase emotions. He regulates them. He doesn't seek warmth. He becomes a source of calm. His silence speaks louder than performance. Epictetus once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's where attraction lives, in her imagination. If she can't fully read you, if you're stable, composed, and just a little mysterious, she begins to wonder, what's he thinking? Why hasn't he reached out? And in that space, her emotions intensify. Let's make it real. A man named Carter took a woman out 3 times. He was polite, attentive, expressive. Then she vanished. Weeks later, she resurfaced, liking his posts, sending messages. Why now? Because he stopped giving warmth she didn't earn. And that cold contrast, it left a mark. But here's the key. You don't pretend to be cold. You become emotionally independent. You don't perform. You lead with focus. You don't need attention to feel whole. She wants warmth, but only from the man who can withhold it. So, if this truth resonates, drop this in the comments. I hold my frame. Not to hide who you are, but to own it so fully. It makes her lean in first. Number 6. She is always testing you. Here's something most men miss. She's not just testing you in the beginning, she's testing you all the time. Not to manipulate, not to play games, but to see one thing: are you who you say you are? To a woman, consistency is safety. And every little moment, a delayed reply, a cancelled plan, a teasing jab is her way of checking, do you flinch or do you hold your frame? The problem, most men don't even know they're being tested. She brings up her ex. You get jealous. She pulls away, you chase. She gets cold, you start explaining yourself. Every reaction you give sends a message, and when you collapse, she doesn't feel protected. She feels like she's the one leading, and no woman wants to lead. She wants to rest in your certainty. That's where Stoicism gives you the edge. Because the Stoic man doesn't react. He observes. When she pushes, he doesn't panic. He doesn't play emotional tug-of-war. He holds the line without drama, without ego. Let's make it real. A man named Adrian meets someone special. She starts slow fading. Mocking jokes, cancelled dinner. The old Adrian would have pleaded for attention. This version, he simply replies, "All good, take care, and let silence speak." 3 days later, she sends a coffee pic. No caption, just bait. He doesn't jump, he waits. And that pause, she feels it. She realizes, this man doesn't flinch. Here's the truth, it's not about passing her tests. It's about being so grounded. You don't even notice them. Women don't want to be the storm. They want to test their chaos against your calm. That's how they know you can handle their depth, their fire, their emotions. Because if you crumble from a text delay, what happens when real life gets hard, Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of her tests aren't real threats. They're illusions. And when you stay steady, you dissolve the illusion. So next time she pushes, don't push back. Stand still. Let her feel the weight of your stability. If this landed with you, drop a comment. I stay unshaken, not because you're cold, but because your strength speaks for itself. Number 7, safety is more important than love. There's something most men never realize. Women don't stay where they feel the most love. They stay where they feel the most safety. And no, not just physical safety. We're talking emotional steadiness, psychological shelter. It's the feeling that she can be soft, uncertain, even messy. And you won't unravel. You won't react. You won't need her to fix your emotions. That steadiness, it's worth more than any romantic gesture, because love without emotional safety, that's chaos for a woman. Unstable, heavy. You can text her sweet things, buy thoughtful gifts, say I love you every morning. But if your emotional state rises and falls with hers, she'll feel like she's living in a storm, not a relationship. Most men confuse passion with connection. They think loving harder makes her feel safer. It doesn't. The more emotional pressure you create, the less space she has to just be. She doesn't need intensity. She needs certainty. If you're grounded, she can soften. If you're anchored, she can exhale. That's where real intimacy starts. Let me paint you a picture. Ethan met a woman he adored. Big heart, open spirit. But as soon as she pulled back, he panicked. Long texts, late-night voice notes. He thought he was fighting for love, but she felt overwhelmed. Then there's Caleb. He felt the same fear, but he didn't explode outward. He breathed. He stayed still. When she reached out, he didn't cling. He responded with presence. That presence, that was her safety. Stoicism reminds us, emotion isn't the enemy. Emotional chaos is. Ethan confused expression with strength. Caleb embodied strength with structure. She doesn't want a man who drowns in love. She wants a man who stands strong inside it. So ask yourself, can she breathe around me? Does she feel calmer when I enter the room? Because if the answer is yes, that's what keeps her coming back. Comment below, I choose calm. Because she doesn't need more emotion, she needs more strength behind it. Number 8, her confidence is skin deep. You see her enter the room, head held high, eyes focused, voice cool. She looks untouchable, like nothing could ever shake her. But don't be fooled. That confidence, it's not always real. More often than not, it's a performance. She's not pretending because she's fake. She's protecting something tender beneath the heels. The stare, the silence. That's why we say her confidence is skin deep. It's polished, calculated, a carefully designed shell. And if you take it at face value, you'll misread her completely. Why does she act distant after connection? Why does she flirt and disappear? Why does she test your calm, then vanish? Because confidence is her armor, not her truth. She's not unshakable. She's terrified of being truly seen. In today's world, women are told, be strong, be independent, need no one. But late at night, What she really wants is to surrender, to let a man in, to drop the act. But that means risking heartbreak, and she's been taught to never do that again. So, she tests, she watches, she waits. Can you see the mask and still remain centered? Most men fail here. They try harder, chase louder, validate non-stop. She sees that as weakness. She thinks, another one who breaks under pressure. But the man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase the mask, he lingers in her mind. Because he doesn't react. He observes. He stays grounded. That stillness is what makes her feel safe enough to be real. Stoic men don't peel back layers with pressure. They let her open on her own timeline. So, next time you meet the strong girl, don't be impressed. Don't be intimidated. Just stay steady and let her reveal herself when she's ready. Comment I see beneath. Because you weren't fooled by the performance, you saw the truth. Number 9. Attention is her drug. Here's something most men never realize. She doesn't crave love. She craves attention. Not intimacy, not connection. Just pure, steady attention on demand. Why? Because we live in a world where attention is currency. Each like, each DM, every story view. It's a hit of validation. It's dopamine. And like any drug, the more she gets, the more she needs. But don't get it twisted. Just because she wants your attention doesn't mean she wants you. This is where most men get trapped. They think, she's texting me. She's watching my stories. She must be into me. No, she's just enjoying the energy. And when you stop giving it, that's when withdrawal hits. That's when she starts pulling you back in. Let's make it real. A guy named Noah starts talking to a girl who seems all in. Late night jokes, quick replies. He feels a spark. Then she disappears. No dates, no time, but she's still watching every story. Noah thinks it's mixed signals, but it's not. She doesn't want the man, just the attention. And this is where a Stoic man separates himself. He doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't feed addictions. He protects his focus. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that includes where you give your energy. So ask yourself, is she here for you? Or for the feeling you give her? When you become selective with your presence, you stop being noise and start becoming gravity. If this truth hit home, comment, I protect my focus. Number D's. Her desire does not stay constant. Here's something every man must accept. Her desire will change. No matter how strong things started, how close you felt, or how much she seemed into you, desire is not constant. It moves. It breathes. It shifts with her feelings, her stress, her hormones, and sometimes even how she views herself that day. And when you treat it like a fixed line, you end up confused. You think something's broken. You try to fix it, and that's when everything slips. 1 week, she's warm, craving your time. Next week, she pulls away. You panics. You over-message. You overgive, trying to chase the version of her from last week. But desire doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to space, to stability, to calm. The Stoic man understands this. He knows that her emotional waves aren't about him. He doesn't fight the ocean. He anchors through the tide. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So when her warmth fades, he doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He holds his frame. And that stillness, that's what draws her back. Let me show you. There's a man named Damon. Things started amazing. But when she got distant, he panicked, planned more dates, poured out feelings. The more he reached, the more she drifted. Then there's Aaron. Same situation. She pulled back. He didn't react. He gave her space, stayed focused, didn't punish her or reward her. Weeks later, she circled back, and he was still there. Calm, grounded, unshaken. That presence reignited everything, because while her emotions moved, his didn't move with them. That's what women crave deep down, not just romance, but the certainty of a man who remains steady even when she can't. Now you see it. The truths no one ever told you. The silent lessons most men learn too late after the pain. The confusion. The regret. But you're not most men anymore. You've seen the patterns, and once you see them, you stop playing blindly. You stop chasing the noise. You start standing in your clarity. That's the difference between a man who gets played and a man who lives by principle, one who doesn't need to manipulate, perform, or prove himself. He leads not to impress others, but because that's who he is. So if this video spoke to something deep in you, if it made you reflect, breathe, and realize you've been giving away your power, then you're not alone. You're becoming the kind of man who commands respect without raising his voice. The kind who doesn't beg to be seen because his presence speaks louder than words. And if you want to keep walking that path, you're in the right place. Like this video, follow the journey, and subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, because we're not chasing trends here. We're living truth with stillness, strength, and self-respect. See you in the next video.